if you had to guess, how many ads a day do you think a person sees?
At least 100 ads a day,
Yeah.
minimum.
It's 10,000.
10,000
Yeah.
a day?
Yeah.
I was way off. Wow. What's the first step?
Just to realize you're screwed.
Hey everyone, this is Sam Tejada, your host at A Healthy Point of View podcast. Today we have our special guest, Chris Himel. Chris, how are you?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me. This is sick, dude.
Awesome,
I'm
man.
very excited about this. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So today is an exciting day, which I told you earlier. You're actually our first podcast.
Look at me.
I know.
Which is funny because you were one of my first contacts in the industry like 3 or 4 years ago.
And look at us now. You know, especially with the stuff that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
With, you know, our second IV Biz Bash.
Yeah, man.
You know, the launch of How to Win in Modern Wellness, which you have a chapter in my book, right? With a bunch of these other leaders in the industry. So, like, you look back and so much has, like, really developed in just a year, right?
It's nuts. Like, I had no idea what I was stepping into and how it was going to change my life forever. Like, I have a ways to go, but like, you know this, I've lost, I think, like 36 pounds or something, and just all the different things coming out, the modalities and all the stuff. I mean, the industry is insane. It's the coolest. You couldn't be in a cooler place right now to be a business owner, helping people and building it to where you can make really good money and live an amazing life. So
that's
like,
the truth.
Yeah,
that's the truth. And you know, like what you just said, like how it's like changing your life. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, that's not even the important part here. Like, what you're doing is forget about changing your life. You're changing so many other people's lives. You're changing so many business owners that are trying to get into the industry, like medical practitioners that have been in, you know, that conventional medicine world. You know, the people that they actually start treating and taking care of. Like the amount of people that you're changing lives, it's unbelievable. You know, have you thought about that?
Yeah, like we changed our mission this year. It's to affect 1 million owners to affect 1 billion people.
Wow.
Because I think business is hard, right? Like 96% of businesses fail in 10 years.
Yeah.
And the 4% aren't even, doesn't mean they're profitable or doing well. Like, that's hard.
What do you think is like the biggest reason why a lot of these businesses fail?
There's actually a quote from George Washington, like, believe it or not, there's 2 reasons businesses fail: lack of capital, terrible management. And that's what's been really cool about working with you. You guys have one of the best teams I've seen, some of the highest standards I've seen, some of the best drive. Like, if you don't have capital, obviously, like,
yeah,
I think a lot of practitioners get into this space because they want to help people.
Right.
And then that gets in the way of making money. Because if you don't have any money, you can't eat, you can't sleep.
True.
You know what I mean? So you have to be able to run a business like a business and keep the personal out of it from a business perspective, but then you can also still help people.
Yeah.
So I think and I think George Washington said that however many years ago, and it's still true. Like, if you don't have money and you have poor management of whatever you're running, you're going to go under. And then, you know, from my background, in the book, we talk a lot about the marketing side, but like my background's digital marketing. So if you don't have leads, you can build the best, you know, building in the world, but if no one knows about it, it doesn't really matter.
So let's talk about that. So you have a chapter in the book.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Marketing Matters,
Yeah.
right? And how we were just talking about, you know, how some of these businesses fail, especially in today's digital era that we live in. And when it comes to like medical practitioners, doctors and PAs and nurse practitioners, they're fantastic at what they do when it comes to like treating patients and changing their lives. But there's a whole nother component to the business, which is the marketing side. And when I saw what you were doing, the first thing I said, I was just like, okay, this is needed. This is needed for these individuals, these doctors, because if they don't have it, they're going to fail. You know? So tell us a little bit about your chapter in the book about, you know, how medical practitioners truly need this, especially in today's digital era. And you're an expert, so.
I love hearing that, because I'm an expert by failing so many times. Like, you have to fail forward, and I'm like the guinea pig to just see what you can go and do. Will it work and will it not? And I got really fortunate too, because I launched a lead gen company in the health and wellness space, and that failed pretty miserably. It was a pretty rough go, but I had launched another one in the health insurance space. So we're spending crazy amounts of money on ads, and we're just testing everything so I can test stuff. So I think most practitioners, they buy a clinic, they open a clinic, and they're like, people are just going to run in here in droves. And it's just not the case.
That's not the case.
Like, you got to get...
I can attest to that. It is not the case.
You have to, the number one focus has to be marketing. Like, you can have the best processes, the best product, everything, but if no one knows it exists and you haven't, tied the pain points to your solution, then you're up a creek. Like, you can't do that. So in the book, I think we lay out the top 20 ways to drive leads to a medical clinic. And the number one that I learned, if you want me to go into like the marketing stuff we do, how deep do you want me to go?
I mean, go deep.
Because I can talk all day about this stuff, but the number one is this guy, Roland Frazier, and this guy, Perry Belcher. They're really big names in the marketing space, but they buy companies, traffic acquisitions.
Okay.
We're buying, like, I just got a call and we're finalizing a deal buying another Facebook group. And
nice.
You technically can't buy a Facebook group, so we're partnering with them. That's kind of how you can do it. But find out where the first part is you got to know who your ideal customer is. Like, you have to know when they go to the bathroom. Like, you need to know everything about your customer.
Customer behavior.
Like, what do they care about? What's their what keeps them up at night? Because most people are in a storm, coming out of a storm, or going into one. Everyone's in pain in some form or shape in their life.
Right.
There's you have to figure out what that is. What keeps them up at night? What are they going through, and how can I help them? That's why I love this space, because you can truly help people. What is your ideal customer? Figure that out, and then where do they spend time? Are they in Facebook groups? Are they on websites? Are they going to this shop? Like, what do they do all day, and how can you get your brand in front of? I went to LeadsCon because I'm a leads nerd, like, so I loved it. But if you had to guess, how many ads a day do you think a person sees? If you had to guess.
Oh, if I had to guess, I'm thinking about myself here. At least 100 ads a day, minimum.
It's 10,000.
10,000 a day?
Yeah,
I was way off. Wow.
And I didn't know that, set, because it used to be like 1,000 like 5 years ago. But every third post you see on Facebook's an ad.
You know what? That makes sense. And even like when you're driving,
yeah.
If I'm driving down the interstate, all I see are billboards with ads.
Yeah, cars have billboards, benches. Ads are everywhere.
Everywhere, right.
And it used to be a customer needed to see your brand or product 7 times before they would buy.
Right.
What do you think it is now?
It's got to be tenfold at least.
It's 500 times.
Wow.
They have to see a product. So with IV therapy, with advances in modern medicine, no one knows about it. Like 80% of the population doesn't know you can just get an IV in your house.
That's crazy you say that, because like now when we're running ads on social media, just like for one store, we'll run over 250 ad sets. Like we're got the short ones that are 6 seconds, 15 seconds. We got the 30 seconds, depending if it's top funnel, mid funnel, whatever. But we have over 250 going on at once. That's wow. That makes sense. So talking about that is like, there's a lot of medical practitioners that are very old school. They were practicing medicine before the digital era really became what it is today. And, they'd get their customers through like referral sources, other doctors,
Yellow Pages,
right? The big phone book, and all of that stuff just doesn't exist anymore. So it's they really have to dabble into these other areas. And one of the things that I always say is, like, when I tell people, if I look back like 4 years ago, I would tell people we're a marketing PR company first, and then a medical company second. Today, I actually tell people we're a software technology company first, marketing PR second, and then medical third. And it doesn't diminish the efficacy of what we do on a medical standpoint. Is that with the first two, like, you got to have these systems and processes in place. You want to start using AI. You want to, have all of the pixels in place with the different marketing. Like, what would you say for the doctor that's listening, who's really trying to figure out how to get that front door rotating? What's the first step?
Just to realize you're screwed. Like, it's so confusing. We live in the best time ever in marketing. 10 years ago, you'd have to spend $5 million to do a national ad campaign.
Wow.
You can spend $500 on Facebook and hit the entire nation with your ideal customer. Or TikTok is killer right now. We're doing a ton of TikTok ads, and it's amazing. Our cost per lead was a fourth on TikTok than Facebook. Because I don't know if everyone knows, but Facebook and Apple are battling. So, like, Facebook's tracking is about 10% what it used to be.
Yeah. They put that whole privacy thing, too, now.
That was it.
Like, the whole thing.
Apple basically said, we don't like you anymore, Facebook. We're going to block everything.
Right.
But Apple, where are all their phones built? In China. What's TikTok? A Chinese company. So the TikTok still has a little more reign than they used to with
Okay.
Apple.
That's
Apple kind of
interesting.
controls everything. No one, I mean, everybody has,
Has an iPhone.
yeah, so they can do whatever
Yeah.
they want. But anyways, the idea is it's really confusing because there's 1,000 ways to go market right now.
Right.
When
Right.
someone tells me they don't have enough leads, I just look at them and go, "You're not being resourceful. You have unlimited resources."
I don't even care about leads anymore. I just want customers because you can really produce a lot of leads if you're doing
Yeah.
the right thing. You can produce a lot of leads, but then it's like putting them through that whole process. From getting the lead, making sure contacting the lead right away, getting closing on them.
Yeah. What you have to do is just figure out who your ideal customer is first.
Right.
And then where do they spend time? If your customer's 50, 60, they're on Facebook. If they're, 30, 40, they're on Instagram. But do you know the average age on TikTok is like 28? 75% of users are
Really?
24 or more.
Wow. I would have
TikTok
thought it
is
was like younger.
I know. I thought it was like for
Wow.
16-year-olds. And
That's
we started
crazy.
meet with TikTok because we have a good budget with them and you don't realize the demographics of it. But you gotta just the first phase is, this is how I break down marketing as easy as I can. And it's like you gotta be in the right place at the right time in front of the right person with the right offer. Once you get someone in the door, that's not the hard part. And that's really hard, right?
Right.
The second part is you have to train your staff on selling memberships.
And you got to nurture that
Yeah.
customer. You have to retain that customer.
Yeah.
So then you have a good LTV, lifetime value.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think some of the biggest challenges I see is most of your frontline nurses, people from hospitals, and they're amazing human beings.
Yeah.
So amazing. But they are not comfortable with money. And if your staff won't buy a membership for $700 a month, the customer never will. Because
Right.
people don't need to believe what you're saying. They need to believe you believe it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
do you believe I should sign up for the $700 membership? There's two things I would say is do not put your BS on your customer, and that's your belief system.
Okay.
So don't bring your BS in here.
That's true.
If you won't buy a $700 membership, I don't care. There's people out there that will.
Right. Right.
And there's a ton of them.
Yeah.
Like how much money is in the world is insane. And then the second is when two people meet, if there's rapport, whoever's most certain will always influence the other person. So if you don't have the certainty and your staff doesn't have the certainty, then you're screwed. Like
Yeah.
you're not going to sell anybody anything. So, but back to the lead gen side, how do you get customers in the door? And now we know the stats, 10,000 ads a day people see. They need to see your stuff 500 times. And that's like product wise. So if it's IV therapy, if we're getting straight to that, it's like they need to know about IV therapy 500 times before they'll buy it.
Right.
So you've got to get your name out there. And there's 100 ways to do it. So the first is, I'm a big Grant Cardone fan. He has this Power 20 thing he does, and he calls it list the 20 most influential people you know. And do you want me to go from like just starting out or like somebody who's been running for a while? Because I can do both or
either one,
Okay.
whichever one you think is best.
The Power 20 is killer. You call them 20 most influential people you know, and you just say, hey, it's all about them. The conversation's about them. How have you been? What's been up? And then when they ask, how have you been? You just go ham. You're so excited about this clinic you're opening. It's like the coolest thing ever. You're changing lives. You tell them who your ideal customer is. You say, do you know anyone like that? And then that's like a good way to just get organic stuff going.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
if you have no money, because there's two situations, right? You have money or you don't.
Right.
So in marketing, you either have money or time. There's two things.
Okay.
So you can spend money on ads. You can go to Upwork or Fiverr and find a Facebook ad manager, and most of them will suck. You got to vet through them. Or you can, if you don't have any money at all, you just take your time and you invest it into people, and you invest it into people who can influence your ideal customer. So it's gym owners, anyone who's got a following. Like influencers are huge right now. If you're not using influencers, that's a big miss because they're a referral will get a 90% close rate versus a normal lead's 20 to 30%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, influencers are basically just referring you out. So influencers are great because you can do trades. You can get, again, you have to be super resourceful with marketing.
Yeah.
And then if you get into the paid side, because we could go 1,000, you can do Facebook ads, Instagram ads, TikTok
you
ads,
can go
LinkedIn
crazy on the
ads.
paid side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, but you got to find really good, the way I've done it, because I ran a marketing agency. So it's a disaster on the back end running a marketing agency. So I always try to find the best freelancer contractor I can. And they shouldn't do more than one thing. If they tell you they can do Google and Facebook, they're lying and they're not going to be good.
Right, right.
Like Google and Facebook are totally different
Two whole
worlds.
different
Totally different.
monsters. Yeah.
And you need somebody who does that all day, every day.
Yeah. Now, an agency, I could see an agency having multiple people that can handle all of it, but just one person, I don't think so.
Well, and I don't want to bash agencies. There's a really good. My oldest brother owns a really good agency. I mean, they're killer, amazing. Right. They've built a really good company, but most agencies, like, you need to know how to vet those companies. You need to know how to ask the right questions. So I would just say know enough to lead, because if you go down the rabbit hole of learning all these things, your business will fail.
Yeah,
because your time. So it's cost benefit analysis, right? It's my dad told me this because I used to feel guilty for not like enjoying mowing the lawn, which is awful. Like, so he was like, you could pay somebody, $30 an hour. How much could you make in that hour if you were out doing biz dev or growing your company?
Right.
And it's exponential once you own your own business.
Yeah.
Like an hour spent on the phone with really good connections versus 30, mowing the lawn for 2 hours. It's just not, so I always look at cost benefit. And what he did to really imprint it was I'd have to write a check to the Florida Gators because I'm a Florida State guy. Anytime I wasted an hour, I could have paid somebody less money to do it.
Wow.
And so always leveraging your time, leveraging
That's
all
crazy.
that.
Your father, because my father would actually bring that up as well too. He says, "Hey, you can spend 2 hours washing your car, or you could pay someone, calculating what your time's worth, you can pay someone 25, 30, 40, 50 bucks to wash your car, and then during those 2 hours, the work that you're going to get done is going to be valued and worth more than what that $25 was."
Yeah.
So, and talking about cutting grass growing up, I don't know about your dad, but my father, he made us use a push mower. This thing didn't have it. You know what a push mower is, right? Yeah. Because I grew up north, so it's like that soft grass.
Yeah.
So push mowers work. Like down here, probably wouldn't work. But
we had a push mower here. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This thing was brutal. We had a big backyard. It's just nonstop. It would literally take a whole day to cut the grass. And I would always ask my father, it's like, "Dad, why don't we get like a regular lawnmower?" So, you need to exercise. So, well, it taught us. It taught me that I never want to cut grass ever again, to work my butt off to make sure I have a landscaping company so I never have to cut the grass.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with cutting grass. I know my buddies like make a ton of money cutting grass, and like when you're just getting started out, that's a great pathway, because I think you do need to do everything a little bit. A
little bit. Learn from it.
Learn all the different positions. Learn what everybody's doing every day. But I think the other side is, if what if that 2 hours you're resting, you're regrouping, because being an entrepreneur, especially in this space, is hard. I mean, like I said, so you need, like, I'm going out of the country for 5 days and no one's going to talk to me. Like, I need 5 days because we have our event coming out. We're buying all these companies. I mean, I think we've done 3 acquisitions this week.
Chris, let me ask you this, because that's something actually really, really important. Explain to all of the listeners, like, the true value behind that, because it's hard to put like a dollar amount, but when you actually get deep, and so people can understand like how important that is for your health, for your well-being, for your mental health, like there's a lot of value behind that.
It's astronomical. It's insane. Once a month we go somewhere, no matter what. Like, and it's just a part of it's a standard we have in our family. It's like, we got to get out. We got to change our environment. Like, we have an amazing house on the ocean. Like, but I still got to get out of that because it's my normal environment. You got to, switch your human beings. We need variety, and running companies, owning companies, it's like quiet desperation most of the time for business owners. Right. I think Elon Musk said the equivalent of being a CEO is chewing glass and staring into the abyss. Because the CEO, you have all the worst problems. Yeah. If you spend time on easy problems, why are you even here?
Right. Yeah.
So true. It really, and I don't want to discourage people from owning a business. I would never do anything else, because you have freedom, you have choice, you have all these things, but you have to give yourself that grace to say, I need a break. Like, I need to go.
That's where a lot of times the creative juices just start coming. And I've noticed that myself when I'm able to disconnect. I come up with like these random ideas where I'm just like, wow, where did that come from? Yeah. It's just, it's almost like you allow your brain to tap into another part that you're not able to tap into because you got too much other crap going
Yeah.
on in your head.
I do this thing. I have a business coach, and he's saved my life more times than I can count. Definitely have some mentors. We're going off the business side, but like what I do every Friday for 2 hours is I plan my next week, and I'll look at, because we have so many projects going on. At any given time, I have about 30 projects, companies we're working on, and I'll look at each one, what needs to get done in this next week, and I'll block time, and it's
Okay.
non-negotiable. Like if I say
Yeah.
at 2 o'clock I am sitting and working on this thing.
So I would say that something like that is the true definition of discipline. Like you have to be disciplined to be able to actually structure, having certain times and like I'm planning this, making sure that I'm doing this next week and everything's kind of written out. So that's not the easiest thing for people to do. Like you have to actually get in that right mindset and be disciplined.
Yeah. If we're going back to marketing, like here's what I would do. I would take Friday for 2 hours and I would say, I have this problem. I need leads. I'm going to mindstorm it. I'm going to get 20 ideas on driving leads, and I'm going to block time the next week to act like execute on those solutions. And that's the first thing I would do. I would just say, okay, I'm going to mindstorm 20 ideas on how to drive leads. Here's my resources, because everyone has different resources, different like your different starting points, different launching points, whatever. You have what you have, and you got to figure out how can I be resourceful,
Right.
because there's no lack of leads in the world.
Yeah.
People want stuff.
And they're always going to want stuff.
Yeah. And I think, when you're describing your ideal client, because there is, recessions and it's all cyclical. So we're about to get hammered. I think I could be wrong. Hopefully it goes on forever where we're just living in this paradise. But I think we're about to get wrecked pretty hardcore. You need to make sure your ideal clients are in the top 1%, because those people will make more money. When other people are fearful, be greedy, and when other people are greedy, be fearful. So I would say in your ideal customer description, make sure, and this is hard in the health world, I found, they want to help everyone, which is cool.
Everyone, yeah.
Like start a nonprofit, but your business is not a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Like,
well, the thing is a lot of health professionals, when they get into this, they want to save the world.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
You
have to, and you need to find the customers that can pay you that kind of money.
Right.
And there's only a certain demographic who can pay $700 a month.
Yeah.
And that's what when we go into clinics, so we're buying clinics, the first thing we do is recurring revenue models.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's okay, how do we get more leads? And that stuff for us is easy.
Yeah, you got a whole strategy in place for that.
Yeah.
All right. So, Chris, question for you. I want you to talk a little bit about like what you think the level of importance of content. I feel like it's people have to understand the importance of content creation and how you really don't need all these fancy cameras or anything. You just got to get out there. People have to like understand that, hey, this is who you are, what you're doing. These are some of the testimonial success rates that you're having. So you're exposed. You can't just be hiding inside of this cave. Like content for me is extremely important. And you as a marketing expert, I want people to kind of hear it from you.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm guilty of, my team is always yelling at me like, you need to post. Like no one even knows. I haven't posted since like last Ivy Biz Bash, like October last year. But so there's two kinds of people, right? People want to be in the forefront, and some people shouldn't be on the camera. Like, just be honest.
I agree.
People are going to go
I
away
agree.
if you're on camera.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that should be the forefront. Like, they should be but content, that doesn't take away that you have to be putting out content.
Right.
So you just got to figure out who you are like, what's your personality type? What do you like? And I think, if you can't do it, someone's got to.
Yeah.
You got to build a team. You got to build somebody who can be
someone speaking,
putting out there,
talking, putting that information out there.
Because there's just a lot of education in the medical space on what's coming out. I mean, people don't realize, and I talked to my buddy Rob, and he's really one of the more connected humans I ever know, like have known. There's stuff out there that no one knows exists, and I was like, why? Yeah. Like I can't talk a ton about it, but like he has a testing company that can predict dementia 20 years out.
Oh wow!
No one knows it exists.
Yeah.
And like it's because the owners of it are doctors who don't know how to market. Obviously, Big Pharma is not a huge fan. Like and we don't want to get too technical on it, but you've got to find a way to get what you're doing out there. And there's national marketing, there's local marketing. It really just depends. And like even your Power 20, that we talked about earlier, that's marketing. You got to get your name out there. And then analysis by paralysis, like
Yeah.
analysis paralysis. I see so many doctors who, because of the medical side, they'll spend 6 months researching something.
Yeah.
Just go and
There's
do.
a lot of people are guilty of that, and that's something I talk a lot about. Analysis paralysis. Don't analyze stuff so much where you paralyze yourself. You got to give yourself about 10 to 15% of room for error where
Yeah.
things are not perfect, just to keep things moving. You know?
Yeah. So I think just with content and creation, you just got to figure out who you are. Are you willing to put yourself out there? If you're not, you got to find somebody who can, or at least hire someone to do it. Like we do TikTok ads, and like finding influencers and hiring them and scripts and recordings and all this stuff. I don't have time to deal with that. So we found a really good agency,
Nice.
and they have 100 actors on payroll, and they do it all,
Wow.
and we just pay them.
That's the way to do it.
Like
That's the way to do it.
if you can't do it, like I said, I would just say, which person are you? Are you the face, or do you need to go hire some people to be the face, or find somebody to be the face?
Right. Right.
So I think it's extremely important, but also don't want to pin people and say you have to go be the face, because that'll scare them so much they won't even do anything. So it's okay to not be the face. I like being in the background,
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So Chris, one of the things I want to talk about is the upcoming Ivy Biz Bash over there in it's mid-October.
Yeah.
Let's let the people know a little bit about what we got going on. This year is going to be even more crazy than last year, which last year I don't know how you made that happen. This guy had like literally like just a handful of weeks, and all of a sudden he freaking blows this thing up. People are like trying to buy tickets last minute. Hundreds of people. It was a hit,
Yeah.
Like I know conferences that have been around for years that try to do everything under the sun, and they have tons of time to do it. Last year you killed it. This year I'm looking at the lineup. You're gonna kill it again. You're gonna do it at a whole nother level. Let's talk about it. The people that are listening, medical practitioners that are trying to get into the biz, if they're even already in the biz, they need to come to this.
Yeah, and I could tell the story of last year's we sold our first ticket 2.5 months before.
Wow.
And our event managers, at some point, we were like a month and a half out, and they're like, you need to tell sponsors there's not going to be 500 people there. Like, you need to warn them. And I was like, F you.
We're making it happen.
Yeah, and we did, I think it was like 550 people or something like that. And it was like, but there wasn't a big event in the space. And to me, I'm a big Tony Robbins guy. I've been to 25 events or something. Get out of your comfort zone and network with like-minded people who are motivated. And to me, that's the key. Like, one of the biggest keys to my success is I'm always getting out of my comfort zone. I'm always around really successful people, more successful than me by a mile. So we decided to run the event, and I never run one. So I didn't know how hard it was, the back end. But yeah, we didn't have any money for the event. So we were like, how do we get people in the room? We just got the top CEOs. And collectively, especially right now, I know we can talk about this a bit, the industry needs to come together. Because regulations and stuff, if we don't have a unified body to make sure this stuff can stay out there, and 5 people in a regulation room, whatever it is, just make a decision that changes, we're not, could stop us being able to do what we're doing every day to help people. So, and I don't know about you, but before the event, and I don't take credit for this, it was the CEOs and everybody, it was really kind of divided. Everyone was kind of doing their own thing. They had their own private protocols. And then after we did that private dinner, I know you have been networking with all the other CEOs. Everyone's kind of come together.
At a whole nother level.
It's insane. It's so cool.
And you're absolutely right. And since then, I've seen things grow and develop from that. We've cultivated a lot of these relationships, and we've put teams together, even through American IV Association, AVA, which Jeff Cohen, he'll be there speaking on a lot of the compliance stuff. And after that, I had an opportunity to actually put my new book that's launching. Actually, it's releasing the first day of Ivy Biz Bash.
Yeah.
And a lot of the contributors that have chapters in the book, which you have your chapter we talked about earlier, Marketing Matters. But a lot of the other contributors are leaders in the industry, CEOs and doctors that are going to be at your event on stage talking keynote speaking engagements. They're sitting on panels, and that a lot of that came from the relationships that I was able to get exposed to through you last year. So I have people like Jim Donnelly, I have Ben Crosby from Restore, I have Kevin Harrington. They're all in this book. So I'm excited about IV Biz Bash coming up because this is going to be a huge hit where it has all of us experts of the industry in the book. We're going to be there talking to people. We're going to be doing a signing, and really trying to help people because my biggest thing is like how you said, it's not about just one person or one company. And when we talk about the book, the title is How to Win in Modern Wellness. There's enough meat on the bones for everyone to eat.
Yeah.
So we're talking about how we're all winning together and us sticking together and being there as the backbone of this industry to make sure that we're following things with compliance, things that are changing. So, IV BizBash is just hitting you from so many different angles. You're learning about marketing, you're learning about business, you're learning about the compliance side, you're learning about the medical stuff. I mean, it's like, what is there not to get out of IV BizBash? It's almost like you've created the one-stop shop for the IV industry where if you need a new vendor for IV product, they're there.
Yeah.
Right. If you need new add-ons to the services while people are sitting in the IV chair, we just talk about BrainTap. They're there.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone's there, and you're learning. You're not just seeing the vendors that are offering the product. You're actually, a lot of these experts are on stage and talking about the science of what they're doing.
Yeah.
So,
And I think, my mission now in life, and we don't have to do the event. We don't need the, like, it's something that was a byproduct of life. But so my dad has been my role model, and he was a business coach and all these things. And he bought a business, and then about a year into it, they had like 20x sales in this construction company, and then he got diagnosed with Parkinson's, and the company blew up, went bankrupt. It was like really, really bad, and he tried to kill himself. Like,
wow.
that's how bad business can get.
Yeah.
Like, he tried to leave the earth, and that, explaining that to my 16-year-old brother at the hospital, that's what drives me to do this. Because if I can end one business owner from going under because we bring all these tools together into one room for 3 days, that is worth it to me. And then that one business owner is going to go affect 1,000 people.
Yeah.
With health and wellness, like with the alternative medicine, with IV, because I don't think there's a single IV clinic there just doing IV now, because all this other cool stuff's coming out.
Yeah.
I've been getting all the free stuff. Like, people send me all the
the
stuff.
biohacking and all that stuff.
Nuts,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Like, I've got the cold plunge, sauna, hot tub, like my whole house. Like, I have 30 to 40 more pounds to lose and to get like fully healthy. But I've lost close to 40 pounds now, and like, because last year's event almost killed me. It killed it. The event was great, but it almost killed me. It was
Man,
so hard.
your house is all. I mean, all we gotta do is put like a Liquivida sign in. People can go do all the services at your house.
Yeah, I got it. I'm trying to get my brother a sauna because he's at my house every day, doing the cold plunge in the sauna. But
I'm buying a Chris membership for his house. Yeah, I'm here to use the cold plunge and that. Your wife is gonna look at me like, "Who the heck is this guy? Why is he here?"
But if I can use all this stuff, I'll kind of you know what I mean? It's to build certainty, you have to believe in it. And my dad got diagnosed with Parkinson's. Traditional medicine said, here's a pill, you're going to get depressed, and it's not going to change anything. Like, that was the diagnosis and the prognosis. And then that's why I launched an IV. Is why I was like, I got to find there's other options for this. Like, this is stupid. My buddy Rob, he reversed his mom's dementia through this stuff. They gave her 5 years to live, and she's been alive 12 years and is better than when she started.
That's a beautiful thing.
And it was like, literally like cold shock therapy, cold plunge, sauna, hot tub, like, some peptides and IV and all these things. You don't have to suffer anymore. And if I guess what changed for me is when a business goes under, who do you think that affects?
It affects everybody, but specifically the owner, tremendously.
The owner's family, the customers, like the ramifications of a business failing.
It's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. So, Chris, I want to leave everybody off with how they can find you. If they want to buy tickets for the IV Biz Bash coming up in October, where do they get access to that? Give them the whole everything so they can get on the Facebook group, follow you on your page and give them the website. This is something that they have to do. We're going to have certain special promos, through Liquivida to
Yeah.
buy tickets and stuff also. But go ahead, Chris, just give the listeners, some information so they can start signing up or following everything that's going on.
Yeah, so it's ivbizbash.com. So IVBIZ bash BASH.com. And I think we did a 20% coupon code, I think, for you guys.
Right.
LQVDA, or I can't remember what the coupon code was, but
Yeah, and we'll put it right under,
Yeah.
the link for this podcast.
Yeah.
So everyone will have
you
access
guys will
to
have a
it.
coupon code.
So
But, when you build something or sell something, you have to believe it with your heart. Where it'd be a disservice if they didn't do the thing you're selling.
right.
Like they would suffer because they didn't. That's how I feel about the event now. Seeing last year, I mean, it was bizarre for me because I'm not like a celebrity or anything, but being at the event, just people coming up to me, crying, hugging me, changed their life. Like it did that because I wanted to help them because I just don't want people to suffer. And that's what you'll get from the event. I mean, the amount of some of the stories I'm hearing of like going from 500K to 5 million after our event.
Wow.
Like if you want growth, if you want to learn, if you want to network, which is really great, like-minded people, because anyone in that room is in that 4% that's going to succeed.
Right.
You booked a flight, you booked a hotel.
They're committed.
You're leaving your family. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Those are the people that will succeed in business. There's obviously people who don't go to events and succeed, but the vast majority of successful people I see are just willing to do that next thing to level up. So
level up.
Yeah.
Double down on it.
Yeah.
So, Chris, you are a trooper. You're a legend. It is amazing to have you, especially as the first podcast on a healthy point of view podcast. So I want to thank you for, coming here to our Liquivida headquarters to do this whole podcast recording. There's going to be nothing but success for both of us. So I appreciate you, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Same to you, man. Thank you so much. This is an amazing setup. Your whole team's amazing, and glad I got to come. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.